The Point. 98.7 CKPM FM.
It's 8:25. Good morning. It is a Tuesday morning. A little cold out there. Tim is here, the Tri-City Cask Festival. How you doing this morning?
I am. Excellent. Thank you.
You're always smiling. It's like you always drinking beer, or what is it? Well, how come you're always smiling?
No, that's coffee in my cup, but
It is.
beer makes for happy people.
It does. Definitely makes for happy people. And it's funny, you know, I can drink beer. Like, alcohol doesn't affect me. I don't get angry when I drink alcohol, but I drink 2 beer, 3 beer, and I can't really function properly. I start, like, getting woozy and everything else. But I can drink a bottle of Crown Royal and still function properly, or at least I think I function properly. So what is it about beer? Is it just the hops, or what does it to people?
Well, partly is the hops. Hops are a soporific. They can make you a little bit sleepy on their own without any alcohol attached. But the thing about beer is that we associate it so strongly with relaxation, with pleasure, with sharing with others, that I think beer just puts you in party mode.
It does. And, you know, we could use some hot weather right now and some sand and some umbrella drinks with beer, I think, because this cold is sort of getting to us here.
Well, the only thing the cold is really good for is keeping your beer chilled.
And this is good because you guys have a bit of an escape here coming up in about 12 days from now.
That's right. On the 22nd, we're having our Pro-Am Winter Cask Festival.
This is neat, and I understand this is the only one of its type in Canada?
This is the only one. It's the, number one, it's the largest Pro-Am Cask Festival, and it's the only one so far. So the idea is we've involved the amateur brewers, the home brewers from all across British Columbia, and now Alberta as well, to compete against professional brewers. How we did that is the amateurs took their recipes, took them into commercial breweries, and made the casks of beer there under their license. They'll be submitting them and competing against their peers in the professional brewing industry.
Wow. So now, how can that work? Because you walk into a brewery, let's say you go down to Parkside or Yellow Dog or Moody Ales or Twin Sails, and they've got the big vat there. So how can you get one cask out of that? How does that work?
Well, that's a really great question. They all have pilot breweries that they work on their small recipes from. When you're a commercial brewery, you can't just mess around and try a new recipe with 500 or 1,000 barrels of beer. So they've got little pilot brewing systems. And what's the really neat thing about this is all of our professional craft brewers, virtually all of them, came up as home brewers. So this is equipment that everyone's familiar with. And it's just a neat way to reconnect the pro brewers and craft here with their roots as home brewers.
That is interesting. Now, you've been around beer for a little bit of your life.
Yes.
What is the most interesting recipe or beer that you've tasted or heard of?
Oh, wow. That is a long list.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of apocrypha and tales of strange beers that people have made. There's actually a recipe out there for something called cock ale, which contains a chicken.
Oh, good. I thought it was the other way.
Yeah, no. But people are doing all kinds of crazy things with
That
beer.
would be eunuch ale then, wouldn't it?
Boy. Have a stiff one.
A stiff one.
I'm sorry, that just sprung up.
I needed that. Thank you. Yeah.
What were we talking about?
That's not a stir stick in there. I think the strangest one I've heard of was brewer's beard.
Oh, right. That's kind of a funny story because it's out of Rogue Ales in Oregon.
Yeah.
Where, most brewers are kind of look like me, a big guy, burly, carrying a beard around. Some of them look like they've left a badger hanging out of their mouth. But brewers tend to accumulate yeast all over every surface in the brewery, including their skin and hair. So they cultivated some yeast out of this brewer's beard. John Meyer is his name, and they got a single cell culture and used it to ferment a beer out. So it
just doesn't seem healthy, though, does it?
Perhaps unsavory, but because it was a single cell culture, it was just a one yeast organism that fermented the beer. And, truth to tell, it was yeast that was living in the brewery already. So
okay, so yes, it wasn't a homeless yeast.
No.
So back to the cock ale, because we've recomposed ourselves. So it's made with chicken or something, or?
Right, and it's kind of an old tradition from England, and they used to add animal flesh to fermentations like wine and beer because the proteins in them, basically from their tissue, would bind to stuff clouding the beer up and make it clearer. And then the tradition became that the beer was stronger or the wine was stronger because it had flesh in it that gave it the strength of the animal that it was from. Wow. So you can probably guess why they chose to put a rooster in the beer.
Yeah, that's just it. Did people, and that's actually something that somebody has tried recently.
I know a home brewer who has done it, and I tasted the beer. It was interesting.
Did it have 11 different herbs and spices?
No, not exactly.
It didn't. Tim is here from the Tri-Cities Pro-Am Cask Festival. We're going to play some Tim Hicks right now and come back and talk a little bit more about this event.
Do, baby.
98.7 The Point. That is Stronger Beer. Tim Hicks. That's a good segue into our guest here, Tim from the Tri-Cities Pro-Am Cask Festival. We were talking about the weirdest beers that he's tried. The cock beer, really stiff one. I know we went through those jokes. Now this. Pro-Am Cask Festival, these are people that are coming out of their basement and making beer. I mean, when we were kids, we got chemistry sets, right?
We got the cool chemistry sets when we were kids.
Yeah, there's like radioactive
I had
isotopes.
a piece of pitch blende ore. I had mercury. I had stuff that would catch fire and blow up.
Yeah, and they changed that. But I guess now, because the chemistry sets are kind of sissy-ish, that kids will be getting these little home brew kits for Christmas and let them go down in the basement and play around.
That's not as far-fetched as you'd think. I kind of started brewing beer before I was legally allowed to drink because I just got really interested in it. I heard about these great beers, things like Guinness, that at the time you couldn't buy in British Columbia. You just couldn't get a really good stout.
And thank God for that. There's people that like Guinness, and I don't know if they like it because it's a trendy thing to do, but I can't wrap my head around something that's that thick and that syrupy and that just that taste.
Guinness is light beer.
Well, it tasted weird for me, so maybe I'm just a sissy. I don't know. It's just, yeah. But so Guinness, and you like Guinness. You like all kinds of beer, don't you?
Right. You know what? I've never tasted a beer that I didn't like, just some that I wouldn't have again.
I had one. A friend of mine is involved with the beer festival that happens in Coquitlam, Brent Shaw. Mm-hmm. And he gave me a sample of a beer that was 12% alcohol. And you needed a knife and a fork to eat that one.
Right. Beers that big, I'm not fond of those. Those are finishers. And you have like a little glass after dinner or late in the evening. I'm more a fan of beers that are lower in alcohol. If I can get like a cask ale that's 3.2% alcohol, mm-hmm. I really like that because I can have a pint and go back to work after lunch. You know?
And we used to do that, because growing up, I worked for the City of Calgary Electrical System, my first job, and the two linemen I worked with, we used to go to the bar for lunch and drink and then go back out and work again.
It was a great time to be alive.
I know. It's so different now, isn't it? We were talking earlier about the some of the crazies because we were talking about the chemistry sets and brewing stuff in your basement. And some people are actually going back thousands of years.
Right. Beer brewing started, the first records we have of it are around 5,000 years old. And the oldest written document in the world is called the Himpton and Cassi. And it's actually about beer and brewing. So there are people who are going back to the ancient Sumerian and Babylonian recipes and recreating them. There's a brewery in the States called Dogfish Head, and they brewed a beer called Midas for Midas Touch, and it's brewed with ancient varieties of grains and wheat and with spices and herbs because they didn't have hops back then. So it's a very unusual and interesting tasting beer, and it's a great way to reconnect with the history of brewing with what we're drinking today.
That is very interesting. Now, have you traveled the world to drink beer, or do people send you beer?
Well, actually, I traveled the world, but usually I don't write on my expense report that I was going there to drink beer.
Well, hey, it's the Tri-City Cask Festival, the Pro-Am, the only one of its kind in Canada. And this is happening when?
It's happening January 22nd. It's at the Executive Inn Hotel in Coquitlam, and it's going to be absolutely epic. We have 46 casks on offer. We've got 11 homebrew clubs, and we have casks from all over British Columbia, the Lower Mainland. All your favorite craft breweries are going to be there. We even have, for the first time, Tool Shed Brewing out of Calgary, Alberta. And not only are they sending in their pro cask, they're sending in an amateur cask from the homebrewers there in Alberta, and that's just wonderful. We really are glad to have them here.
That is amazing, and tickets aren't expensive either.
No, $49 will get you in. There's 46 casks to taste. We give you 10 tokens to start with. Not everyone needs all 10 samples, but some people do like that, so they can purchase more. And the great news is we're right on the SkyTrain line, so nobody has to drive.
That is excellent.
We're just so pleased with the new Evergreen extension and the SkyTrain access. So you can have a few beers and still make it home safe on the SkyTrain. So the tickets are $49, but that also includes, in addition to the 10 tastes, you get your choice of burger, so protein or fish or vegetable, and you get to attend the poutine bar, which is going to feature a gravy made from Moody Ales. I believe it's made from the smoked porter.
Wow.
So poutine, how can you lose?
Smoked porter, then smoked Gouda for the poutine.
Oh.
Okay, so once again, this is happening when?
It's January 22nd. You can get tickets on TricitiesCaskFestival.com. But hurry, they are going fast. We have less than 20% of the tickets left and still 10 days to go. So get your tickets now.
Excellent. Tim from the Tri-City Pro-Am Cask Festival, looking so forward to this event. January 22nd, the Executive Inn, Coquitlam Executive Inn, and that's at North Road and Lougheed Highway, right?
That's right.
Excellent. Get your tickets, and we'll have all the details on our Facebook page. Here's another good beer drinking song, the Cherry Poppin' Daddies, Flat Butts and Beer Guts on the Point.